right, on Blitz we have Brittani Lawrence, head coach of the state champion Lady Dragons. How does that feel hearing that? That's pretty awesome.
It's a lot of hard work that has paid off. It's a dream that we turned into a reality.
Yep. And this has been something that's, for you, 9 years in the making here since you've been at Jefferson. Talk about, I know I just sort of asked you that, but what goes behind making that happen when you've been here 9 years and building up to this moment?
It personally took me a lot of learning curves, of learning opportunities. I ended up pursuing my master's and my specialist in coaching, and thinking about the female brain and thinking about the body and how the body and the mind are connected. So there was a lot of personal growth and development on my end, and I was able to take that and mold it into Jefferson volleyball, and just create a handbook, so to speak, on how to become a state champion. I didn't do it by myself. There were a lot of coaches that had a lot of tools in the toolkit, so to speak, and that were helping me and challenging me. And these are coaches that are here at Jefferson. There's administration here at Jefferson, or maybe it's coaches from fellow high schools that are right down the road. So definitely surrounded myself by a big support system to bring out the best in these girls.
Yeah, and you've been doing that for almost a decade now. I mean, we're talking 2 Final Four runs before this, 3 Elite Eights, 2 Sweet 16s. How do big games and big playoff runs like that and 5 region titles, how does that all help a program get to the point where they're at now?
So when I think about this question, I think about a lot of the seniors that we've graduated. I think about JoJo Smith and Abby Howard from 2020. I think about Maddie Grace Smith. I think about Dallas Morris. I think about Helena Kelly and Gertie Nazaroff from years before, and Ava Massengill from 2021. I think about all those girls and so many more that have come through this program and impacted not only this coaching staff and the other girls as they were growing up throughout the middle school program or even through JV. And I just think about the familyhood that we've created. I think about the unity that we pride ourselves. Our coaching staff is incredibly close, and we try to model and lead by example for each of these girls. And we just kind of think about the legacy that they gave us and the life lessons that they taught us. So this trophy belongs to them just as much as it belongs to the 2024 team.
I love that. That's very well said. But each group is, in and of itself, is always special. What can you say about how special this group of girls has been this year?
Oh, I just knew that this group of girls was going to be something. And to put those something into a definition, I came up with Seize the Moment. It was always something that I knew that I had in my pocket. It actually came from Disney's Newsies. I don't know if you've seen that before, which is one of my favorite Broadway shows and movies as well. And they sing a song called Seize the Day. And so that was kind of what we were going to go with. And then we started in the design process, and it just didn't work out. And so we edited it to Seize the Moment and just being where our feet are. And just taking it one point at a time. And we were able to adapt it as the season went on. But when I introduced the season motto to the girls and kind of just said, I don't know what it means. I want you to put a definition behind that. They ran with it, and they put a bold power behind it.
And boy, did they ever seize the moment.
Yes, they did.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Dominance is like the word that comes to mind when I think of this team. 87-16 in overall sets played, which is just phenomenal. You go 36-5 overall, and of course the state championship. Talk about that dominant mindset and how you coach the girls to not let up at all and not play down to the competition.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things that stands out to me is this summer we went up to Toccoa Falls. One of my good friends is the coach up there, and Coach Skeen was kind of talking to all the girls who were there. There were some other schools that were there, and she kind of did a pregame pep talk about how you have to champion yourself. You have to champion yourself for yourself, but you also have to champion yourself for your teammates. And that was something that really stuck with me. It's actually a theme in my health classroom right now. And when we were talking with the coaching staff, we were asking questions, how can we champion these girls? How can we empower them to do their job and more? Not on the court, but off the court as well, and to do so in the community. So when I think about how we have to champion ourselves, we have to realize that it takes a lot of discipline, especially when motivation is not there. It takes a lot of grit, and more importantly, it takes heart, which is our program philosophy that we play with heart. And each of those letters stand for harmony, empowerment, appreciation, resiliency, and trust. So we put a lot of dominance behind each of those qualities and how it's all or nothing. If you don't have appreciation, then you don't have heart. If you don't have trust, then you don't have heart. And so it's important that we kind of make sure that not only were we champion ourselves, but we were champion our heart.
That's awesome. The playoff run was very interesting near the end, specifically because it was exciting to see when you were going to match up with another opponent. Like, hey, you've already played them earlier in the year when it got to the Elite Eight and further. So you had Chestatee, White County, and then Calhoun, all of whom you played and beat earlier in the season. But as a coach, how do you sort of make sure the girls stay grounded? And you kind of already answered some of that. But how do you make sure they know, like, hey, that former match doesn't matter at this point?
Yeah, so the big thing that goes into the strength of schedule is who we play. And I found it interesting as well that we matched up in the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the state championship with teams that we had already played before. And I think the percentage of that happening is very slim pickings. So I think we did a good job scheduling and kind of prepping us for those key moments. But just like the girls mentioned earlier, one of our key focal points was this us versus us. That we have to control what we can control. We control our training, we control our thoughts, we control our actions and our responses, and we can't really control who's on the other side of the net, but the second it crosses the plane onto ours, what are we going to do with that? How are we going to respond? And that's something that we talked about in July and in August, especially in those beginning matches when we were learning what was our team chemistry going to be. And we just emphasized it's us versus us. It's our heart, it's our champion mindset. So.
And it came to fruition at the very end, the way that every team dreams of winning that final game. But what was going through your mind as a coach in those last moments and on that last point that served by KJ? What was that like?
So we won the first set, and I was like, oh my gosh, we just like hardcore won the first set. And I knew that we needed to stay focused on the next point. Having that next ball mentality was one of our core values and a key character of our championship story. And so when we got back to our huddle, prepping for set number 2, we just reiterated with the girls, look, score 0-0 right here. We just got to make sure that we come out hot just like we did in the first set. We focus on the next ball, kind of reviewed some of the scouting reports, and then we won the second set. Calhoun tried to take it from us, but we needed a little reset moment. There were some things that happened at the net that we just needed a timeout to reset our focus, reset our vision, and we went back out there on the court and finished the set, as you know. And then there was a 5-minute break in between the second set and the third set. So one of my favorite parts of the championship game was we went behind the bleachers and we went away from all the fans, we went away from all the noise, and we just had an us moment. And we celebrated for 7 seconds because we walked into the state tournament ranked number 7, and 7's one of my favorite numbers. So we all kind of just had like a 7-second dance party, and then we just reset. We locked back in right there. We had this little thing like where we clapped ourselves in, and we clapped in a set focus. So we clapped in, we talked about how we had been in this situation before with Chestatee specifically, how we won the first 2 sets. We still have a third set that we need to finish. And so we kind of took that moment as we've been in this boat, so our experience can kind of help us, guide us right here. But in addition, we also need to make sure that we go out and that we play hard and that we trust our preparation, because our preparation gave us the confidence. And so we kind of just went over some strategies that we needed to execute in terms of defense, in terms of offense, and then all of a sudden we hear buzzers in the background like, you got to get on the court. And so that's exactly what we did. And this is the coolest moment. And girls, I don't know like what y'all thought about this, but when we were running out from behind the bleachers back onto the court, the Dragon Nation stood up and gave a roaring standing ovation. And I think that just kind of set the tone for that third match. Before the first point was even served in the third set, is that we're going to finish this right here, right now. And so that was the noise that we needed to stay locked in. And one of our big things was energy. And so that just gave us that positive intensity to go out there, be the first to 5, be the first to 10, and so on and so forth. So when KJ was serving, I vividly remember looking at the scoreboard. It was 23-something. And I caught eyes with one of my friends who I was talking about earlier, a coach that has really just challenged me to be awesome. Her and I locked eyes with one another, and I just said, Coach, we're going to do this. Like, I'm about to win a state championship. We are about to win a state championship. And she just gave me like a little pound on her heart, and she was like, Jefferson Nation, like, look at you. And so KJ's back there serving. She scores an ace. We get the 24th point. I see her go back there through her routine. And we talked a lot about eye work throughout the season. And I just looked in KJ's eyes, and I saw the determination. I saw the confidence. I saw the just the grit and the passion. I saw her heart through the eyes right there, and I was like, oh, we're about to win this game off of an ace. And sure enough, I think she felt that too, because she went back there with a little extra adrenaline and served it long, but it was also a float serve, so the receiver on the other end didn't know how to respond and how to react and touched it. And I didn't see the touch. My perspective was really wonky, but when I saw the line judge call the touch signal and the up ref kind of say, Jefferson wins, final point, I just kind of looked around at my coaching staff and where it was like, oh my gosh, we did it! So just going back to turning that dream into a reality.
Yeah. Still probably pinching yourself every day.
You have no
right
idea.
Now. That's awesome. So you talked about how you celebrate in the moment. Talk about what the school is doing, what conversations you've already had about the celebrations to come.
So the celebrations right afterwards, we went straight to the hospital to go visit with Joe. We cried, we celebrated, we took more pictures right then and there, and then we came back to Jefferson, but of course the girls were exhausted, so they were kind of taking a nap, and when we got off the exit, we had 2 police escorts, and we had our little Bluetooth speaker on the bus too, so of course we're having a dance party, we're getting hyped up, and the second we pull into the front of the school, we have our fire trucks there, and we have all of our parents holding sparklers that we had prepped prior to, knowing that we were about to go win a state championship. So all the parents and fans, they were in the parking lot holding sparklers, and we just got off and just kind of lived and seized the moment right then and there. This week, in general, we have designed our championship rings. So those are in the process of getting ordered, in addition to some other secret surprises for the girls. Cool. Our parents did a phenomenal job prepping the girls in terms of celebration. Like, they decorated their cars and they wrote them sweet letters of support and inspiration for them to read while we were on our way to Lake Point. Next Friday, we're going to be recognized at the football game in front of Dragon Nation. We'll be recognized in front of our board the following Thursday. And of course, we're going to do more.
Yeah, I like the surprises to come for the girls, but congratulations, well earned.
Thank you.
You're a phenomenal coach and couldn't have no better program. But
Well,
congratulations.
it's easy when you coach girls with heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.